It's been a while since we chatted. You joined back when you first committed to the Ohio State University, and now you are a Buckeye. So, how's the summer been? Couple months now being Ohio State Buckeye. What's it been like?
It's been a great summer. I think Diebler's really pushed us this summer to be better and kind of have a more intense summer. But it's been fun.
I've heard from multiple people at this point that Coach Diebler really does push at practice. He wants to get his best out of his entire team. He's getting in there poking loose balls. He's playing defense. He's clapping. He's loud. So I don't know if you had a chance to attend a practice under Holtman, but in terms of practicing with Diebler, what's that experience been like so far in terms of energy and things like that?
I think with Diebler, what you said at the end there, it's energy. It's Holtman. Is kind of not a ton of energy. Diebler kind of carried that energy in practice with Holtman, but he expects a lot of us every practice, and he comes to practice with a certain mindset, and that's to get stuff done. We do a lot of things, but we do it in a timely manner. So that energy and urgency that we have at practice, stems from him, and I think practices are really fun because of that.
Yeah, and it seems like the type of energy that doesn't make you want to, cry and go throw up in a corner. It's more so like, let's get hyped to go play basketball. So that what I've heard, that's like it's been a really fun part of the transition. And the Views from the Shop podcast is not a show that's here to beat and bash on Chris Holtman, but I do want to ask your perspective. I think that we've talked a little bit in the past, during the struggles of the Holtman-led Buckeyes from last season. You've got Diebler, your head coach, but when Chris Holtman was let go from Ohio State, did you get calls? I know Northwestern, Xavier, Cincinnati were some schools really in on you. Did you get calls from any other schools at that time, or was it just you're going to ride things out with Ohio State and see what the head coach transition looks like?
I did get some calls from other schools. A lot of schools in my top five, reached out like, hey, what are your thoughts? And it's just at the time I really didn't know. There were so many question marks, but as Coach Diebler won games and as he kind of got some momentum, I was always going to ride with Coach Diebler. If he became the coach, I was going to be a Buckeye. If he wasn't, I'd really have to think about it and see what I wanted to do. But me and Coach Diebler, I think have that relationship where I really trust in him, and so when he was named the head coach, and it was a pretty easy decision for me.
Yeah, I know. I texted you pretty much immediately. You said I got to talk to Coach Diebler, and as long as everything is still good, I'm staying. So
Mm-hmm.
seems like the relationship there has been really good. And then during that transition period, uh, did you how did you see things change? You're obviously not on the team, but you're up watching games, you're visiting. So did you see things start to change and shift under Diebler, or was it hard to see from afar?
I think I have a great relationship with some of the players on the team. From last year, guys like Devin and Evan and Bruce. So they said the whole demeanor kind of changed. Kind of playing with no strings attached. Just playing to play, having fun, and Diebler really let them do that. So I think the culture and the energy of the program kind of changed in that 7 or 8 game span, and people just started to have fun and play basketball, and Diebler was really loose and demanded a lot out of the players, but that the things he demanded like weren't crazy. They weren't. He wasn't asking them to do anything out of the ordinary. Just asking them to play hard and believe in him, and that they did, and they went on quite a run there.
And I know every team has fun during the offseason, during the summer. Every team has some kind of outside of basketball events that are planned to go hang out, whether it's, go camping, dodgeball. You guys have played paintball. Talk to me about some of your favorite things you've gotten to get involved with off the basketball floor with the team this summer.
I think, like you said, the paintball was really fun. We did a coach versus player thing, and we had a great time. Shooting Coach Diebler was one of my favorite things to do this summer. He's quite the competitor, and I am too. So that was a good time. And then we had team dinners almost every week. With just us players went out to dinner. So I think that really brought a connectedness to the group, and kind of not forced us to hang out, but gave us the opportunity to hang out with everyone and have a good time. And have some good eats. So I think that was pivotal this summer of just creating relationships with your teammates and having a really good summer.
Shooting Coach Diebler was one of my favorite things this summer, I think, is a direct quote. So I'm going to clip that and use that
You
to my
have to,
advantage
and
at some
I
point.
think everyone else would say the same thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the relationship's huge. So I know obviously you played with Austin Parks in your prep ball days, but you've got not just 12, 13, 14 teammates you've got to get to know. You've got to know the coaching staff, the support staff, medical staff, all those different types of things. So as you've gotten to know people, are there any relationships that have budded that you're really appreciating at this point? And who have been some players or staff members that you've really gotten the chance to get close with?
Obviously, like me and Junie are the only freshmen coming in this year that are on scholarship. So, me and him, we're not forced, but we hung around each other, all the time this summer. It's we didn't really have any other option. It was just me and him as the only freshman. So me and him, I think, have gotten really close this summer, and kind of lean on each other for certain things. And then Bruce also stayed in our dorm with me and Junie this summer. So me, Bruce, and Junie, did about everything together. So I think the relationships with those guys were really special. Guys like Evan and Devin that I knew before even Ohio State and before college basketball. Those guys, those relationships just flowing and kind of picked up right where we left off. In prep ball days, and then I Coach Battle was my main recruiter at Northwestern, so I know him really well. So kind of picked a relationship with him right away, and kept it going from where it was when I was getting recruited. And Coach Walker coming over, he's kind of an Ohio guy, Midwest type of guy. So we share a lot of the same similarities of where we grew up and how we kind of go about life. So those are just some of the cases, but I think everyone on the team has been really accepting of a lot of new players, new freshmen, new transfers. So I think we've all built special relationships with each other.
Are you rooming with Junie this upcoming year?
Yes, I'm rooming with Junie and the walk-on Braylon Nash, who's also coming. He wasn't there this summer, but he's coming to move in. I think he moves in on Thursday. So
Okay. So you've lived with Junie at least. So what's that been like? Is there a player that's more clean, more quiet, anything like that at this point?
well, Junie is definitely the player that is not more clean, but Bruce is a clean guy, in our dorm for sure. And I've heard, this is just me, but I've heard Micah Parrish has a really clean apartment. He won't let us go to his apartment yet. He said he doesn't have enough furniture, but I heard his apartment's really clean. So.
And are you and Junie and other players, have you gotten into playing college football 25?
Oh, for sure. Me and Junie have our battles every day out in the living room, college football 2025. But, I think some people have seen the games we have played at the facility on like them record. We all played games of the media staff recording us and asking us questions. So, there's some bragging rights to be had with definitely with college football 25.
So who are the top players on the team?
Top players, I'd say definitely Bruce. Bruce and Micah are definitely 1 and 2, and then Michi's up there, Devin's up there. Guys that play a lot. There's some guys that play more than others for sure on the team.
So Bruce obviously had a pretty decorated football career as well. Maybe that helps him. But you said guys who play a lot. So it sounds like the case here is that you're spending more time. I mean, you're in a gym literally right now. So it sounds like maybe you're spending more time in the gym. Others are working on other areas of life skills.
For sure. And, those guys got more experience. They know how to manage their time a little better than me right now. So, they can play all the college football 25 that they want.
So talk to me about that time management aspect. You're entering college, and for those who have been through college, some, very few, maybe listening to this show or watching this show, have gone through the D1 sports freshman year transition. So have you felt overwhelmed at times? Has the transition been pretty smooth? Where do you fall on that spectrum?
I think the transition has been really smooth. I've had 4 siblings that have gone to college. Not played Division I basketball in college, but they kind of told me some tips and tricks about school and everything. So I think it's been really smooth. There's obviously some times where you're crunched for time. It's you got a paper due at 12 o'clock. It's already 10. You got to get up at 4:30 the next day, and just sometimes you got to get stuff done. But those times are are few and far between. So I think the transition's been really smooth.
Have you picked out a major yet? And what's the education look like first year as a freshman?
Yeah, I'm going to be a mechanical engineer major. So not easy, but it's I'm ready for the challenge.
Okay. What are you hoping to do with that degree 4-ish years from now, or 10, 15-ish years from now after your professional basketball days are done?
Exactly, like you said, the professional basketball days are done. That's the first goal. That's the main goal. That's plan A. But I want to have a good plan B to step back on. And I think there's a lot of opportunities in Ohio. That's where I want to live. When I grow up and finish playing basketball, that's where I want to live. So I think there's a lot of mechanical engineering opportunities in Ohio that I can take advantage of.
That's awesome. Cool. I would never wish that on anyone being a Division 1 athlete and doing mechanical engineering. I myself, I was a simple business major, and it was easy enough. Would never be able to do engineering. So props to you on that, along with being a D1 athlete. We've spoken a lot about change. That's kind of been a constant of our conversation so far. So your own kind of profile as a player, have you been sat down and said, hey, this year, whether it be with Q or with Coach Diebler or with Taylor Battle, whoever else it may be, here's where we want your body composition to be at. This is what we'd like you to do in terms of developing your game and skill set. What does that look like heading into year one?
It's I don't think we've really sat down and had a serious conversation about that, but they've definitely guided me down the path where they think I need to be and the stuff I need to work on. We have individual workouts with Coach Diebler, Coach Q, other staff on the team like Coach Battle and Coach Walker. So in those workouts we're working on things that maybe that I need to work on more this year. I think I'm about 215 right now with weight, and I don't think the coaches. I think they think that's perfect for me. Don't want me to get really any higher or any lower. So I think that's a good start, and adding muscle at that point. I think over the summer it's the lifting regimen was pretty hard. Q definitely puts us through the ringer, and the muscle that I've gained over the summer, I've gained about 7 pounds this summer. So already that's started working, and then with my game, it's just improving in areas that maybe I didn't do so well before, whether that's, handling the ball under pressure or, shooting consistently. It's just things that the coaches think I could be better at.
7 pounds of muscle in the summer, regardless of who you are, that is very impressive. So is it lift and then Chipotle and then another lift and then a shake, or what on earth has allowed you to get 7 pounds of muscle? Not asking for me, just in general.
I think it's just the Q regimen. It's really tough, and I really push myself in the weight room to be the best, the hardest worker in the weight room, or have the most energy and lift the most. It's just I love the weight room and I love getting stronger, and afterwards we get fed pretty good. So the food that you put in your body, is going to be really good for you, and I think that's just the 7 pounds of muscle or whatever it is just a testament to our training regimen and our food regimen.
What are some of the favorite foods you've been putting down this summer?
We'd get about Sunny Street almost every day for breakfast, and them Sunny Street French toast just they hit every time, and they don't disappoint.
It doesn't sound high in protein, but we can move on. Take me through as you head into this. Like, I'm not a college basketball player. Breaking news. I find it hard to imagine that many players are going to sit down and maybe write Dear Diary and say, here are my year one goals. It just feels cliche to me, and it feels hard to project, especially in 1 year. But have you kind of thought about at this point, this is what I would like my freshman year at Ohio State to look like?
Yeah, I mean a little bit. Like you said, we're not just going to sit down and sometimes we'll write goals down. Diebler did make us write goals down for our college career this year. In the upcoming months at the beginning of the summer. But I'm just looking for an opportunity to impact the team on the court. Impact winning in a certain way and get to where we want to be at that certain level. I just want to impact it in any way I can. And obviously, I would love for that to be on the court and being out there with my brothers and playing a basketball game. But I'll do it in any way. I'm not bipartisan to sitting on the bench and cheering for my team. If it helps them win, it helps them win. If it helps us win as a group and get to where we need to be, I want to be there. And like I said, I love for that to be on the court and get ample playing time. I think everyone would say that going into their freshman year, but just want to impact the winning a certain way, and I'm excited to do that.
You talk about playing time. It's hard to know where you'll be slotted in. It's hard to know where a lot of players will be slotted in. It's a really talented roster. But there's also things that need to be brought outside of on the floor production. You talk about energy and just getting the guys amped up. We know at this point Bruce Thornton is a captain. He's a leader on the team. Has there been anyone else out there that if you were going up against him in practice, you're like, man, he's going to give it his all, or just in terms of bringing it with verbal communication, has anyone stepped up and led along with Bruce so far?
Yeah, I definitely think Michi is a very verbal leader. He's obviously, if you talk to him, you're like he's a very talkative guy, and he brings that over into practice every day. He talks a lot. He gets us amped up in practice, and then I love doing battle with Evan and Devin. We're kind of in the same position. I'm more on the guard end of the forward side. They're more of the power forward side, but we battle a lot in practice. Every day, so those guys, I think we feed each other, and the energy that we give each other, really helps the whole team. And, they can see us competing every day, and that makes them want to compete. So, guys like that just, kind of raise your level every day of practice.
So when you line up against Devin, maybe you're going to do some kind of drill in the post. Do you ever whisper into his ear and say, I'm going to show you who the real Mr. Ohio basketball is? Is that something that comes up?
No, it's not, but it's funny. We always, if Devin does something good, I'm like, yeah, he's Mr. Basketball. If I do something good, Devin's like, oh, yeah, Mr. Basketball. So, we always take little jabs at each other for that. And, it's kind of funny to look on. And, it's pretty cool that you have two Mr. Basketballs from Ohio on one team.
Yeah, absolutely. That would probably be the goal at Ohio State. You want as many as you can get on a roster at one time. And let's talk about kind of your playing style. Are there players that you grew up watching either at Ohio State, in college basketball, NBA in general, that you try to model your game after?
I always say and Devin Booker with like when he was at Kentucky all the way into the NBA was someone I always idolized. Just the way he goes about his business. He's not an outspoken guy. He's pretty quiet. He goes about his business in a certain way, and he's a really good basketball player, as we saw in the Olympics this year. And then obviously guys like LeBron. I'm an Ohio kid. LeBron's an Ohio kid. You just look at everything he's done and how he goes about things, and the kind of person he is. You want to have that work ethic that he has, that longevity, and just be as good as, or as try to be as good as those guys have been. So definitely guys like that. Ohio guys who I like Ohio guys who really came to the bottom, really worked hard, and kind of made a name for themselves.
Are there any previous players on the Ohio State roster who you've watched and said, I wouldn't mind having this part of his game over the past couple of years when you've been recruited by Ohio State specifically?
Yeah, definitely Bryce Sensible. He when I looked at his game, he's just a smooth, big guard who could do a lot of things. You didn't really know who to put on him. You put a taller guy on him, he's quick enough to go by him, and you put a smaller guy on him, and it's he's in the post doing his work down there. So just the smoothness of his game, I really admired. When I was getting recruited, I was about the prime time where I really started to make my jump when I was about a freshman, sophomore in high school. So I really looked at his game and was like, wow, I wouldn't mind being that smooth and being as good a player as he is now.
Yeah, obviously a good one. I mean, you've picked obviously some very good players, and Bryce Sensabaugh goes from Ohio State straight to the NBA after 1 year, so definitely something to aspire after. Let's also talk about Austin Parks is one that I want to ask you about because you have had plenty of time playing with him over the summers and stuff like that. So you've now got to see him in an Ohio State jersey while you've had an Ohio State jersey. How have you seen his game change or his body change, anything like that? And what kind of expectations do you think, if any, Ohio State fans should have for him specifically this upcoming year?
I think Austin's really starting to take things, a little more serious. He's starting to, get his body right and, get his conditioning right. And you see that over the summer. We only had really two bigs this summer. So, he was kind of slotted in there and really had to go against Aaron Bradshaw and work really hard and, kind of add things to his game that he wanted because Aaron will, kind of step outside and he's not really a deep post threat. So, Austin really had to work this summer, and I think he did a really good job. I think Ohio State fans should really look forward to a guy that's going to go out there and play hard. But I think he's added things to his game that will really surprise people. He's shooting the ball a lot better. Getting in a lot of reps, and kind of trying to become a guy who can step out and knock down a three, and then also being a lob threat in the post and just being a big body down there to kind of bully smaller bigs and guard against bigger bigs. So I think he's primed to help our team. Like I said, help our team to get that next level and hopefully win a national championship.
In regards to the roster too, have there been any players that you've come into practice with and you said, I knew he was good, I didn't realize he was this good?
I think a perfect example of that would be Micah Parrish. You hear about Micah, and he was, when he committed here out of the transfer portal, everyone was like, oh yeah, that's great. And I was like, yeah, I know this guy's good. But then you get into practice, you're like, wow, this dude, no wonder he's going to two Final Fours and a national championship. This dude's legit, and he's a next level defender and a tough shot maker. He gets to his spot, gets to his spots on the court, and makes a ton of shots, which is he's a really good player, and I think he'll do great things for us this year.
Yeah, excited to see him, and I think that he and you probably, in my opinion, would profile pretty similarly in terms of what you might be able to bring and the player type coming into this season. So that's always good to hear. Let's talk about the schedule. So Jake Diebler and the staff, they've not been bashful. They said, yeah, we'll kick off the year with Texas. Go ahead and throw in Kentucky. We'll take Auburn late in the year. We'll go ahead and throw them in now in August, and a bunch of really big games on the schedule for you guys in the upcoming season. Then you've got the Big Ten slate as well. We know what teams you'll be facing. We don't know exactly when at this point, but are there any games that you've circled and said, man, I'm ready for this one?
Well, I've 100% circled that Kentucky one with about 3 circles and then a big star next to it. My AU teammate, Travis Perry's on that team. And I also know guys like Trent Noah and a couple other guys on the team. So that's one I've definitely circled. And I'm really excited to go to Madison Square Garden, which is kind of a dream of mine. That's the one place I told my brother this before the summer. He said, hey, man, like, what would be your place that you'd want to play? I said, oh, Madison Square Garden for sure. And now we get the opportunity to actually play there and, kind of on the big stage against Kentucky and, in a place like that, it's going to be special. And that's one I've definitely circled. And then games like Purdue, which, also three of my AAU teammates are on Purdue. So, those are ones I've circled, and Purdue's been really good these last couple of years. And obviously I was at the game. We knocked them off last year. So they're looking for a little bit of revenge, but, I think we're definitely going to go and, have some fun in those games.
One game you didn't mention is Michigan. So I'm just going to leave it at that and say, tell me about the matchup with Michigan this year. How have players, here's the thing. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I assume that fans are like, oh my gosh, Ohio State, Michigan's going to come to the shop. We're going to boo the crap out of Roddy. We're going to make Michigan's life absolute misery for the entirety of the time that they're going to be on the floor. But I assume, maybe I'm wrong, there's not necessarily bad blood between players who were at Ohio State. Now you transfer to Michigan. Maybe that's not the way, especially for you being an Ohio kid. But I guess in general, my question is, how has the team viewed the Roddy Gayle transfer to Michigan?
I think I didn't mention Michigan. I didn't really want to. I don't really like saying that word. I'm an Ohio guy. That word kind of gets to me a little bit. But I think obviously we still talk to Roddy a little bit. Roddy was a great dude and a great player here at Ohio State. Just different circumstances came up, and he decided to transfer and leave, which he went to the enemy, but it's okay. But I think when they come to the shot, I think we're going to be ready. I don't think we really realize it right now, like how big of a thing it's really going to be. But when that time comes around, they played a couple games, we played a couple games, we both know what each other are going to do. I think that rivalry will be up and brewing, and I think the shot will be a dangerous atmosphere on that day, and we just can't wait for it. Those atmospheres are what we hope to thrive in this year, and those games are also a lot of fun, especially when they're in the shot.
Yeah, I was at probably at least half the home games last year. I was at the Michigan game, And that was one of the more electric atmospheres in the shot that had been pretty sleepy, but it was still great. And now I look to this upcoming season where, from what I've seen from the fan base, it feels like maybe you're going to want a few extra police officers patrolling, making sure everyone is cheering and not taking it too far. But I mean, when Roddy Gayle announced that he was entering the portal and then he announces he's going to Michigan, there was quite the uproar between or by the Buckeye fan base. So I think that game is definitely going to be very exciting. And then, like you said, you're an Ohio kid. You understand the rivalry between the North and the South here in the Midwest. So it's a dumb question. Would you ever? Not would you ever? I don't even know how to ask this. Like, how can an Ohio kid ever even think about putting on the maize and blue?
That's actually awesome, and it's really funny because I was recruited by Michigan when I was a player, and it just felt weird. It didn't feel right. It was like I don't really want to talk to you guys. You know, people think it's ridiculous. Oh man, no, it's not. It's real. The rivalry is real, and the hate is real. It definitely is, and luckily we have a lot of Ohio guys on this team, and they understand the rivalry. They understand it in football. They understand it in basketball, in every sport really. They understand how it's going to be during that game. So luckily we have a lot of Ohio guys and a lot of guys who've been at Ohio State for a good amount of time who understand the whole rivalry. So I think those games are going to be really fun, and I can't see a world where I would transfer out of Ohio State and go to Michigan. That'd be a really dark place, and it'd be a really dark world.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we could just stop this conversation altogether. We don't need to think about it or even imagine what it could look like. We're happy you're an Ohio State Buckeye, obviously, and kind of continuing to talk about this upcoming season, the schedule, things like that. Have you been told like, hey, this is gonna pop up, or like any surprises that you're anticipating in your freshman year? Or you're just gonna kind of roll with the punches.
I think definitely just rolling with the punches. I think I'm a guy who can adjust really well to anything that kind of thrown at me. So just kind of roll with the punches and kind of see how it goes.
I think one other question too, to kind of go off of, we kind of mentioned the atmosphere, and the atmosphere in the shot has not been good. That's just a fact over the past couple of years, obviously in large part due to the unfortunate play from the team. This upcoming year, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of excitement. Did you have any kind of concerns or worries coming into Ohio State kind of before Jake Diebler took over? Where you're like, man, like, do I really want to play in an arena that is this quiet and this sleepy? Is that something that really affected you much, or not a huge impact to your recruitment?
No, it did kind of affect me because I play at a high school where the gym is 3,000 people and it's packed every night. There's not a seat in the whole place where you can't get a ticket. You have to buy them all online before the game, and you can't come up to the door and try to get in. Oh, it's packed every night, and there's not a seat available. So it was kind of a concern, but I think with that concern as just I think I thought that hopefully that the shot would kind of be as soon as I came, and as we get more transfers and stuff like that, the shot would be up and roaring during the year. We'd bring that kind of intensity and that crowd back into the shot, and that crowd that Ohio State's used to seeing at the old St. John's Arena, and at the shot before the last couple of years. I was hoping to bring that crowd back into the shot, and get that atmosphere back that we once had.
What's been your favorite thing about being at Ohio State so far?
Definitely, the guys. That's which is kind of weird to say, but the guys are great, and every day you walk into the locker room and you just look forward to kind of doing battle with the guys during the day, whether that's lifting, whether that's practice. You look forward to battling with them, battling against the coaches, against the managers, whatever. It's just going into battle with the guys and kind of having fun with it.
What's been the most challenging part of being at Ohio State?
I would definitely say the schedule. It's just a lot different than high school, especially. It's a lot different. It's a lot more on your plate. Your body is a little more tired every day. Schoolwork's a little different. Basketball is definitely a lot different. So that schedule that we have every day, it's tough to get used to. And at the end of the summer, I thought I finally kind of got used to it and my body started to adapt. But, at the beginning it was really tough and, definitely, tough to get used to.
And what are you looking forward to the most coming up freshman season?
I'm looking forward to, playing in these arenas that you hear so much about with the guys that, I've been with for how many months now, going into those arenas and, playing against opposing crowds that are always amped up to watch the Buckeyes lose. I can't wait to go in those arenas and, win a game and walk out with a band of brothers that, I was excited to go into battle with. So, that's probably going to be one of my favorite parts of this upcoming season.
Yeah, you mentioned Kentucky. Are there any other teams out of the Big Ten or arenas outside of the Big Ten that you're going to play at? Are there any that you would like to cross off your bucket list and say, hey, I got to play them or I got to play there coming up in your career at Ohio State?
I know we're playing Auburn in Atlanta, but Auburn is definitely an arena that I want to go to and play in. And, Auburn's kind of been, really good these past couple of years and, just really excited to go to Atlanta and play them and, kind of see the Bruce Pearl experience and, listen to him on the sidelines. You always hear stories of how intense he is. And, he recruited one of my AAU teammates and, he said the Bruce Pearl experience was definitely, something that everyone should be aware of. So I'm excited to definitely play against Auburn. And, I know they got a lot of top guys this year. And so going there and taking them down would be really exciting.
Yeah. Awesome. Anything else you would add today in regards to the recruitment, in regards to your expectation for the upcoming year? Anything completely off the wall, random to close off the show?
I think obviously Diebler's bringing in a lot of recruits, but I think we're going to get some commits coming up here that everyone's going to be really excited about. And, I hope everyone's really excited about this upcoming year. I think we got a lot of talent and, a lot of people that can do a lot of different things. And I think Buckeye Nation should be really excited to watch the Buckeyes go out on the court and compete for national championships.
All right. Well, if you're going to dangle that carrot, then I will bite. I know the coaching staff can't talk about any high school players that they're recruiting. I don't know if there's any rules. So if you haven't taken the class yet, if you haven't had the PR training yet, then don't answer this question. But is there any other info that you can give listeners about some potential booms incoming?
I'm not going to say names, but I think I'm just going to say Ohio guys like to stay in Ohio. That's all I can say.
Look at you, Colin White. For those who stayed for the ending of this show, I mean, the reward is there. So that is, there's no better way to close the show than that, Colin. You're giving Ohio State fans plenty of reasons to be excited for the entirety of this conversation and moving forward to the future. So thanks again for joining the Views from the Shop podcast for the second time. I'm sure we'll have you back again.